Your success strictly depends on your ability to overcome life challenges. This means that if you want to achieve all of your goals, you need to become more resilient. And today, I'm here to teach you how to do exactly that. The word resilience comes from the Latin resilio, that means to bounce back. So basically, resilience is our ability to come back from adversity. The reason why it's so important to become more resilient is that life will keep throwing challenges at us. But the difference between successful and unsuccessful people is that successful people are not only able to overcome those challenges, but also to use these challenges to become stronger. The good news is resilience is not a personality trait, but a skill that you can develop and strengthen. And today I will be sharing with you 9 evidence-based ways to become more resilient. But first, in case you don't know me, hi, my name is Bri, I'm a pre-qualified psychologist, and on this channel we're all about using psychology and science backed up tools to improve our life, our well-being, and to self-develop. So if that is something you want to do, you should subscribe and stick around. Step 1 is assess reality. That means basically assess your current situation, but also assess your skills. You need to set appropriate goals and don't see the situation that you're facing as a threat, but rather as a challenge. To do this, you need to do what in psychology we call cognitive reappraisal. That basically means changing your thoughts. So seeing your current situation from a different perspective. The idea is to shift your perception of a particular situation. This will also increase your sense of control and agency over your life, because choosing to see a situation from a different perspective also means that you have the control to shift that entire situation per se. And the reality is that without control, we lose motivation. So we need to start realizing that we always have the choice to see things from a different perspective. Step number 2 is find a role model that has faced your same adversities. This can be people in real life, but even fictional characters. It can be people you know, or people that are in the public eye. It can literally be anyone that has experienced and overcome challenges similar to the one that you are experiencing at that specific moment. If you hear noises in the background, it's because I think a car's alarm is ringing. I hope someone will come to rescue it ASAP, but until then, please bear with me. The reason why finding a role model is so important is because there is a neural circuit in our brain called the social behavioral network. This network in our brain makes us extremely sensitive to the experiences of others and facilitates the process of gathering information from other people's experiences and actually learn from them as if we were the one experiencing them. Sometimes simply having a mental representation of someone who survived a challenge that we are currently experiencing could allow us to imagine what they will do if they were in our shoes, which will then lead us to take relevant actions. Number 3 is social support, because if it's true that having a role model helps, it is equally important to have people that can support us in our real everyday life. The human brain is built in social connection, and people can face mental and physical health challenges when we don't have that social connection. Research shows that social connection can increase our self-esteem and lower our blood pressure. In addition, social connection promotes the release of a happy chemical in our brain that is called oxytocin, and oxytocin basically helps reducing the stress caused by life challenges from our brain. So overall, seeking the support, but even simply connections with others, will make us more able to face challenging situations because we wouldn't be as stressed and we will be more prepared to face them. But also, giving social support is as important as receiving it, because helping others activates the reward system in our brains, which will give us a sense of purpose and excitement. It can also increase our sense of confidence, which will in turn make us more able to face those life challenges, because of course we will feel more confident. Not to mention that helping others takes our minds off discomfort, which is always a plus. Step number 4 is face your fears. Avoiding a difficult experience only increases the fear itself in our brain, and it prevents us from distinguishing past threats from present threat. So after a challenging experience has happened, you need to face your fears in a contained environment as quickly as possible, because that will make sure that the memories related to the fears do not consolidate into our brain, and it could also make sure that the ones that have already consolidated will be erased. If you need to face a particular fear, then think about maybe introducing some coping skills to help you in the process. So for example, breathing techniques, but I have made a whole video about fighting your fears, which I'm going to leave somewhere here. And similarly, the 5th way to become more resilient is to do difficult things. Exposing yourself willingly to challenging situations will ensure that you will be able to tolerate both mental and physical stressors. Studies shows that exposing ourselves to moderately difficult circumstances will reduce the hormones in our brain that basically put our body in alarm response. What this means is that we will be less overwhelmed, and as a consequence, we will be feeling more confident that we are able to overcome life challenges. In fact, it appears that confidence comes from accomplishment, so overcoming a challenge. In order to build up that confidence within ourselves, we need to go through and overcome life challenges. So the idea is that you will need to ideally go through some moderately difficult situations. And to do that, assess your skills and make an honest judgment about what is it that you can cope with and how you can make your current situation just a tiny bit more complicated, but not to the point where you're not able to cope with it. So to do that, you will also need to be honest about your weaknesses and about what you can do to overcome them. Number 6 is effectively manage your emotions. Sometimes what comes in the way of us overcoming life challenges is that we become too overwhelmed by our own emotions. And whilst it is okay to experience negative emotions, especially during a difficult situations, because we are all humans, it is equally important to try to detach ourselves from those emotions to try and see the situation in a more rational way. So the idea here is not that you need to change your emotions, but you need to change your relationship with them. Because again, you don't want from anxious to become happy, because you probably won't be able to even do that in a difficult situation. You just need to observe your anxiety and changing your relationship with it, and try not to see that in a necessarily negative way. So how do you do that? The first step is actually noticing what you're feeling. And it seems so simple, but a lot of people don't do that. Just think about how many people shout, "I'm not angry," during an argument. You need to really notice what is going on in your body. And an amazing tool for this is mindfulness. So you can try meditation, but not necessarily. I've made a whole video about how to integrate mindfulness into your life without necessarily having to meditate, which I'm going to leave here. So just try to understand what emotions you're feeling and actually labeling them. After you've realized what emotions you're feeling, you need to acknowledge them, and you need to accept that this is how you will be feeling at this point in time, and it is okay, but with the awareness that emotions come and go. So as that negative emotion arrived, it will also go away. Then you need to make space for the emotion, so let them be. If there is anxiety, just feel anxious. Give yourself permission to experience that emotion in a contained way, without it necessarily negatively affecting yourself or other people. After you do this, try to expand your attention. So once you've focused all of your attention on your emotion, stand up, open your doors, and go out in the world. try to do things to distract yourself and to put your mind off that emotion. As you give attention to other things, you will notice that you will also shift your attention from that emotion. And finally, respond instead of reacting. So if you're feeling a negative emotion, don't react on it immediately. Just take your time, experience your emotion, and then really think about what is the best way to respond to that emotion in the most effective way. Seventh evidence-based way to increase your resilience is do physical activity. This is so important because physical exercise is not only good for your body, but it's also good for the brain. Because physical exercise is actually a very little stressor for our body. And as we saw, whilst a lot of stress is bad for our body, a little bit of stress is actually good because it helps us release cortisol. And more cortisol produced by the body means less cortisol produced by the brain. So physical exercise will help reduce our stress levels and will leave us feel less overwhelmed with whatever situations we are currently facing. Physical activity can also change our neuroplasticity, so literally the shape of our brain, which is crazy if you think about it. It can build white and gray matters, but also it can increase our short and long-term memory, increasing our cognitive performance and protecting our brain from damages. So if you're not doing that already, just start doing some physical exercise. And just remember that any physical exercise is better than nothing. So even if you have to do 10 minutes of yoga every week, that's fine. That's better than nothing. Alright, if my appearance seems different, is because it's a new day. I basically realized that the last part of the video was recorded with no audio for some reason. So here we are again. I guess this is what we build resilience for, isn't it? So, where were we? Step number 8 to increase your resilience is to search for meaning. Viktor Frankl, psychologist, Holocaust survivor, and author of the book Man's Search for Meaning, says that suffering ceases to exist the moment it finds meaning. He believes that it's not circumstances that make life unbearable, but just the lack of sense of purpose. Having a sense of purpose reminds your brain that there are positives into your life and will serve as a proof that your life is not utterly damaged by adversity. Whether you find this sense of purpose in religion, spirituality in general, or within yourself, having this sense of meaning will reduce the negative thinking patterns that basically fuel your distress. In addition, research shows that having a sense of purpose also boosts your immune system. In fact, it appears to be associated with a substance in our brain that builds up our cognitive reserves, basically reducing the likelihood of conditions such as dementia or Alzheimer. So overall, a sense of purpose will help you transcend discomfort by allowing you to look at the positives within your life, whilst at the same time also protecting your immune system. And finally, step number 9 is think about your gut. It appears in fact that resilience is a whole body phenomenon, and one of the most active processes actually take place in our gut. Overall, to create a resilient brain, you need to create a resilient gut and a resilient gut microbiome. A research by the University College of Los Angeles found out that some specific bacteria in our gut are responsible for increased resilience in our brain as well. In fact, in this research, people that possessed that particular bacteria were better able to manage their emotion and to face adverse circumstances in a logical and, of course, resilient way. It appears that this bacteria reduced the inflammation in your body by keeping the good stuff inside your gut barrier and the bad stuff outside of it. So, how do you create a resilient microbiome? Usually by integrating prebiotics and probiotics within your diet. However, the easiest way to improve your gut health is to just have a balanced diet. So, one that is, of course, rich in probiotics, but also rich in fiber, omega-3, antioxidant, whilst at the same time avoiding processed food. And this brings us to the end of the video. I really hope you enjoyed it, and please let me know in the comments if you found it helpful. If you did, you can support this channel by leaving a thumbs up as it really helps the algorithm apparently. Or you can also support this channel by buying me a digital coffee through the link that I left in the description box below, or by buying one of my digital planners on Etsy that you can also find in the description box below, alongside exciting things such as my social. I would love it if you could follow me on Instagram, and a link to subscribe to my free newsletter. If you like this video, you might also like my video on 3 mindset shift to get rid of a victim mentality. So I will see you over there, or I will see you in the next video. Bye!